500 years ago, there was a man by the name of Bernard Gilpin who lived near Durham. He was called the Apostle of the North. And even Spurgeon referred to him and said that his favorite scripture was Romans 8:28, that all things work together for good to those who love God and who are called according to his purposes. You know, he lived under the regime of Queen Mary, who was a Roman Catholic queen. And when the Reformation came and the gospel came and freedom came, all of those who proclaimed the gospel were under the threat of death. And the Queen Mary was bringing people down to the Tower of London to get them to be burned at the stake and to confiscate all of their property. And so one day Bernard got a knock on the door from a small battalion of soldiers saying, "We're taking you down to a court," and then he knew it was to die in the Tower of London. And when he was near Nottingham, he either fell off a horse or was treated badly, and he broke his ankle. And the captain stared at him in incredible pain and said, because he knew his favorite verse in the Bible, and he said, "You know, do you still now think that all things are working together for good? Look at the state of you." And he said, "No, I'm confident that all things are still working for good." Anyway, they had to stay in that village for a little bit of time, and while they took that time out on the journey, Queen Mary was deposed, and Queen Elizabeth I, who was a Protestant queen, took her place, and she gave back all the confiscated property, released everybody from the Tower of London, and the soldiers came to where he was being kept under lock and key and said, "You're being released to go back home." And he said, "Before you go, I just want to tell you my favorite scripture, and that is, I told you that all things work together for good to those who love God and who are called according to his purposes." And I want to say to each one of you, whether you've been knocked off a horse, whether it by some kind of mistake you've fallen off a horse, whether you've broken your ankle because of undue force placed on you from somewhere else, or whether you've been through a crushing experience, right now all things are working, and they're working for your good. And even though God's not the author of storms, he's not the author of satanic configurations, he's not the author of bad, he's still at work. He's the author and finisher of your faith. And it says in Hebrews chapter 12, it says, "Consider hardship as discipline." And the only reason why you'd be a part of the discipline of playing football, the discipline of playing tennis, the discipline of running is so that you can win the goal. And God's purpose for you is that you wouldn't lose, that you wouldn't be left in history. His purpose is that you would win the goal for which God has called you. And so right now I want you to pick up your faith, and I want you to stand upright and realize that there might be some hydrogen in your life right now, there might be some oxygen, but right now they've been mixed together to create the cool, refreshing waters of your future. And so don't give up, don't quit, and continue to believe that even though this might be meant for harm, God's design, Joseph said, was that it would be for good. And my friend Chazaboki said that God's love will never leave you, but his love isn't just a feeling kind of love. His love is a fighting love. And God fights for you right now, and you might not see it. You might not see the hand of God. You might not see how he's authoring and how he's finishing and how he's working things together right now. But it's none of your business to know how God does what God does. It's just your business to know that God will do what he said he'll do. And so have a vision and extend yourself and pick up the telescope and get rid of the microscope and keep a clean heart, keep a pure spirit. And right now, God's mixing everything together for your good to those who love God and are called according to his purposes.